Gus's grandparents have broken their silence for the first time since the 4-year-old went missing. In a statement released around midday today via their lawyers, Josie and Shannon Lamont, it's the first time the ABC has named the grandparents, have said they are absolutely
It was a quiet afternoon on a remote property in South Australia, a place so isolated that the nearest town was hours away. 4-year-old Gus Lamont was playing outside, climbing on a mound of dirt near his family's home. But within minutes, he vanished. No screams, no signs of struggle, just silence. The vast Australian outback swallowed him whole. Imagine the terror of realizing a child has disappeared into a wilderness that stretches for tens of thousands of acres, where every minute counts, and hope fades with the setting sun. Gus's disappearance has baffled police and devastated his family for months. What happened to this little boy? Why has no trace been found despite massive search efforts? And what dark secrets might be hiding close to home? The story of Gus Lamont is not just about a missing child. It's about the unforgiving nature of isolation, the limits of modern search technology, and the complex human emotions tangled in a family under unimaginable stress. It's a story that has gripped a nation and left many questions unanswered. Today, we're diving deep into the latest updates on the Gus Lamont case, exploring the twists and turns of this ongoing mystery. From the initial frantic search to the police declaring it a major crime, and the suspect identified but still no answers, this story is far from over. Before we get started, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss any updates on this case or other gripping true crime stories. Also, where are you watching from right now? Drop your city in the comments below. I love seeing how far our crime Cortex family reaches. Gus Lamont's family property near Yunta, South Australia, is not your typical neighborhood. It's a sprawling 60,000-hectare expanse of rugged outback terrain, miles from the nearest town. The landscape is harsh, rocky outcrops, dry scrub, and dirt roads that wind through the wilderness. Living here means embracing isolation, with limited access to services and neighbors. The Lamont family had made this remote place their home, living a lifestyle shaped by the land. For Gus, this meant plenty of space to roam and explore, but also risks that come with such freedom. Children in these areas often play outside, unsupervised for short periods, but the vastness and dangers of the environment are always a concern. This isolation complicated the search when Gus disappeared. Emergency response times are longer, communication is spotty, and the sheer size of the property made it nearly impossible to cover every inch quickly. The outback's unforgiving nature meant that any delay could be critical. For viewers in cities or suburbs, it's hard to imagine the challenges of living in such a remote place. But this context is key to understanding why Gus's disappearance has been so difficult to solve. On that fateful Saturday afternoon, Gus Lamont was last seen around 5 o'clock, playing on a mound of dirt near the family homestead. It was a typical day in the outback, quiet, isolated, and vast. But within a short span of time, the unthinkable happened. Gus was gone. Family members noticed his absence by about 5:30 and immediately began searching the immediate area. Panic set in quickly as the realization dawned that this was no ordinary game of hide and seek. The vastness of the property, stretching over 60,000 hectares, meant that finding a small child was like searching for a needle in a haystack. Local police were notified and arrived on the scene within hours. The initial search focused on the property and nearby accessible areas. Ground teams combed through the terrain, while helicopters and drones, equipped with thermal imaging cameras, scanned from above. Canine units trained in tracking human scent were brought in, but no trail was found. As hours turned into days, the search expanded. Volunteers from nearby communities joined in, bringing local knowledge and manpower. Despite the massive effort, no physical evidence or signs of Gus were found. The harsh environment, the rocky outcrops, dense scrub, and extreme temperatures worked against the search teams. Police began interviewing family members and neighbors to piece together a timeline, but inconsistencies emerged. Different accounts of when Gus was last seen, who was present, and what actions were taken raised questions. By early February, after weeks of searching with no breakthrough, the case took a serious turn. Police declared Gus's disappearance a major crime, signaling suspicions of foul play. A suspect close to the household was identified, though details remain confidential. Search efforts continued with no new leads. Public appeals were made, and the community rallied, but the mystery deepened. If you've been following this case, smash that like button to show your support for Gus and his family. The initial search for Gus was a massive operation involving local police, volunteers, and specialized teams. Ground searchers combed the property, focusing on likely paths a child might take and areas where he could be trapped or hiding. Aerial support was crucial. Helicopters and drones with thermal cameras scanned the vast property, especially during cooler night hours when body heat stands out. These tools allowed searchers to cover ground quickly, but the rugged terrain and dense scrub limited visibility. Tracking dogs were deployed to follow any scent trails, but environmental factors like wind and time elapsed weakened the trails. Local residents and volunteers joined the effort, bringing local knowledge and manpower. Despite these combined efforts, no physical evidence was found in the critical early days. Have you ever been involved in a search or rescue? Share your experience in the comments. I'd love to hear your stories. As days passed with no sign of Gus, police began to dig deeper. They noticed inconsistencies in family members' statements and delays in reporting. Some relatives communicated only through lawyers, limiting cooperation. These red flags led police to declare the disappearance a major crime in early February. This shift meant the case was no longer just a missing child search. It was now a criminal investigation. This declaration allowed police to expand their powers, conduct forensic searches, and pursue suspects. This case is far from over. If you think you have any information, no matter how small, please reach out to the authorities. After the disappearance of Gus Lamont was declared a major crime, the investigation entered a new and intense phase. Police identified a suspect believed to be closely connected to the household. While the identity of this individual remains confidential, this development marked a critical turning point in the case. Law enforcement began extensive surveillance and monitoring of the suspect's movements and communications. This allowed investigators to gather evidence discreetly and prevent any potential interference with the investigation. Interviews and interrogations were conducted under strict legal protocols, ensuring the suspect's rights were respected while police sought clarity on inconsistencies and possible motives. Forensic teams conducted thorough searches of the property and personal belongings, looking for any trace evidence, DNA, fibers, or other clues that could link the suspect to Gus's disappearance. Throughout this phase, police worked closely with legal advisors to ensure all evidence was collected lawfully, preserving the integrity of the case for any future prosecution. Despite these efforts, no charges have been publicly announced, and the suspect remains under investigation. One of the most challenging aspects of the investigation has been navigating the complex family dynamics. Some family members have been reluctant to cooperate fully, communicating only through legal representatives. This has slowed the flow of information and complicated efforts to establish a clear timeline of events. The emotional toll on the family cannot be overstated. Grief, suspicion, and stress have created an atmosphere of tension and mistrust. Police have expressed frustration at the limited cooperation, but continue to respect the legal rights of all involved. This lack of open communication has made it difficult for investigators to verify facts, identify witnesses, and uncover potential leads. The situation underscores the delicate balance between respecting family privacy and pursuing justice. Given the vast and challenging environment, investigators have employed a range of advanced search techniques and technological tools to aid the investigation. Drones equipped with thermal and infrared cameras have been used extensively to scan large areas quickly, especially during cooler night hours when body heat contrasts sharply with the environment. These devices provide real-time imagery, allowing search teams to cover ground that would take days to traverse on foot. Satellite imagery has been analyzed to detect unusual disturbances or changes in the landscape that might indicate a search area or evidence. Forensic teams have conducted detailed examinations of the property, including soil analysis, vegetation disturbance, and collection of trace evidence such as fibers, footprints, or DNA samples. Digital forensics experts have analyzed phone records, social media activity, and electronic devices to establish timelines, communications, and connections relevant to the case. While these technologies have enhanced the search and investigation, the vastness of the property and the harsh environmental conditions have limited their effectiveness. Investigating a disappearance in a remote outback area, like the one where Gus Lamont vanished, presents unique and formidable challenges. The vastness of the terrain alone is staggering. Tens of thousands of hectares of rugged landscape, rocky outcrops, dense scrub, and dirt roads that stretch for miles. Covering such an area thoroughly requires immense resources and time. Extreme weather conditions add another layer of difficulty. The Australian outback is known for its scorching daytime heat, which can quickly sap the energy of search teams and affect the survival chances of anyone lost. Nights can be bitterly cold, and sudden weather changes can hamper search efforts or even put rescuers at risk. Limited infrastructure and poor communication networks mean that coordinating search teams and maintaining contact is a constant struggle. Emergency response times are longer, and access to certain parts of the property may require specialized vehicles or even helicopters. The sparse population in these areas means fewer witnesses or locals who might provide crucial information. This isolation also means that emotional and psychological support for families and search teams can be harder to access. All these factors combine to make remote area investigations slow, complex, and emotionally taxing for everyone involved. The disappearance of Gus Lamont has attracted significant media attention across Australia and beyond. National news outlets have provided continuous coverage, keeping the case in the public eye and encouraging information sharing. Public appeals for information have been broadcast widely, and community vigils have been held to support the family and raise awareness. These events have helped maintain pressure on authorities to keep the investigation active and thorough. However, media scrutiny also brings challenges. The intense spotlight can add stress to the family and complicate the management of sensitive information. Balancing transparency with privacy is a delicate task for law enforcement and media alike. Have you seen any coverage of this case? What's your take on how the media is handling it? Share your thoughts in the comments below. The emotional toll of Gus Lamont's disappearance extends far beyond the immediate family. The uncertainty and grief experienced by his loved ones are profound and ongoing. The lack of closure can prolong trauma and complicate the healing process. The local community, too, feels the impact. Fear and concern about child safety in isolated areas have heightened, and the case has sparked conversations about the vulnerabilities faced by families living in remote regions. Investigators and search teams also face psychological challenges. The stress of working on a high-profile, unresolved case can lead to burnout and secondary trauma. Support services have been mobilized to provide counseling and assistance to those affected. Understanding these psychological and social dimensions is crucial to appreciating the full scope of this tragic case. The investigation into Gus Lamont's disappearance operates within a strict legal framework designed to balance the rights of all parties involved with the pursuit of justice. Police must adhere to protocols that ensure evidence is collected lawfully and that suspects and family members are treated fairly under the law. This means that while police have expanded powers following the Major Crime Declaration, including the ability to conduct forensic searches and surveillance, they must also respect legal protections, such as the right to legal counsel and the presumption of innocence. Family members' rights are also protected, which partly explains the limited cooperation from some relatives who communicate only through lawyers. This legal mediation can slow investigations but is essential to uphold justice and prevent miscarriages. Transparency with the public is another important aspect. Authorities must balance the need to keep the community informed and engaged with protecting the integrity of the investigation and the privacy of those involved. Community response has been a vital part of the search for Gus Lamont. Local residents, volunteers, and organizations have rallied to support the family and assist in search efforts. Volunteer search parties have contributed invaluable manpower and local knowledge, helping to cover difficult terrain and maintain a constant presence in the area. Fundraising campaigns have been organized to provide resources for search operations and support services for the family. Support groups specializing in assisting families of missing persons have offered counseling and practical help, recognizing the emotional and logistical challenges faced by those affected. This solidarity highlights the strength and compassion of communities coming together in times of crisis. As of April 2026, the investigation into Gus Lamont's disappearance remains active and ongoing. Police continue to follow leads, analyze evidence, and appeal to the public for any information that might help solve the case. Despite the passage of time, authorities emphasize that no case is ever closed until all possibilities have been exhausted. Future efforts may include renewed search operations, expanded forensic analysis, and the application of new investigative technologies. Community cooperation remains crucial. Authorities urge anyone with information, no matter how small, to come forward. The disappearance of Gus Lamont remains one of the most heartbreaking and perplexing mysteries in recent times. A 4-year-old boy vanished into the vast, unforgiving Australian outback, and despite months of exhaustive search efforts, advanced technology, and a major crime investigation, his whereabouts remain unknown. This case highlights the immense challenges faced when searching in remote areas where terrain, weather, and isolation can turn even the most well-coordinated efforts into a race against time and nature itself. It also underscores the complexities of family dynamics and the delicate balance police must maintain between pursuing justice and respecting legal rights. The community's response has been a beacon of hope amid the uncertainty, showing the power of solidarity and compassion in the face of tragedy. Yet, the unanswered questions linger, and the search for truth continues. If you found this update informative, please like, share, and subscribe to Crime Cortex for more true crime stories and updates. Remember, if you have any information about Gus Lamont's disappearance, no matter how small, contact the authorities immediately. What do you think happened to Gus? Share your thoughts below. We read every comment and value your perspective. Thank you for watching, and stay safe out there.